deserved respectful obeisances from everyone. Translation once again. When necessary, you assume the part of sun god, the moon god, Agni, the god of fire, Indra, the lord of paradise, Vayu, the wind god, Yama, the god of punishment, Dharma, the god of piety, and Varuna, the god presiding over the waters, all obeisances to you, who are none other than Lord Vishnu. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurummilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam Sham He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarvyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktarunda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate giram utkapatam aham Shri Guru Dinataram Brahmana. Hare Krishna. So, yesterday when Kishore Prabhuji started, he said he doesn't have any qualifications and realizations. So out of his humility, he was saying that, but that is my real situation. So I don't have any qualification whatsoever. And particularly after hearing so many wonderful exalted Vaishnavas, Rasika Bhovi Prabhu, Jai Sachinanda Prabhu, Prabhu, everybody, like all of you. But for my own purification, I just speak on the instruction of Shyam Kishore Prabhu. And you're all very well versed in the Shastras. You're all professors, but I'm just a kindergarten teacher. So I just talk some fundamentals and basics. So because I don't have much Shastric knowledge. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, this part where Swayambhu Manu and Kardama conversation, where we see Kardama Muni was going through a lot of penances, and he was blessed by the darshan of the Supreme Lord, and he was humbly praying to the Lord. And after praying, he just put forward the desire. So in this process, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is talking about a couple of things. One is the Varnashram Dharma, and where there is a social etiquette, and due to the social etiquette, the king is supposed to pay obeisances to Brahmana. Swayambhu Manu, who is the king, is supposed to pay obeisances to Kardama Muni. But that happens, but Kardama Muni also pays his respects and obeisances to Swayambhu Manu. So Prabhupada is bringing in this spiritual etiquette. So there are social etiquettes and spiritual etiquettes. And spiritual etiquette takes precedence over social etiquette. Like as we move forward, we see that the son of Kardama Muni how Kapila Devi teaches to his mother. So generally the parents teach to the son, isn't it? But in the spiritual etiquette, then it's different. And particularly as practicing Vaishnavas, we should be aware of this, something like, I am, or I am. Those things don't matter here. Like even in our ISKCON society, we see like some of the brahmacharis, they've been practicing, then they preach to the parents or elders in the family, or even social status. Sometimes a disciple may be very rich or very aristocratic family, but whereas a sannyasi must be having some humble beginning. But irrespective, when it comes to the spiritual etiquette, the age doesn't count, your qualification doesn't count, your social status doesn't count. So it's just the matter of paying respects and obeisances based on the spiritual etiquette. So that is Srila Prabhupada is touching upon here. And, and also he's talking about, in the Varnashram Dharma, like Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, Brahmana are there. So Chaturvarna Maya Srishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. So in that verse, Bhagavad Gita 4.13, when Lord says he created this Varnashram Dharma. But I was listening to Chaitanya Charan Prabhu's podcast on the Varnashram Dharma, very extensive discussions. So it's not necessary, actually, this is not purely mandatory to have the Varnashram Dharma for us to progress in the spiritual path, but it helps. And Prabhupada in the purport to that verse in 4.13, he says, quote, however, as Krishna is transcendental to the system of the four divisions of human society, a person in Krishna consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions of human society, whether we consider the divisions of community, nation, or species, unquote. So a person who is in Krishna consciousness is beyond, basically transcendental to this Varna and Ashrama. But it does help in one way or other. So when we talk about the etiquette, so who shall we as practicing devotees? In this purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning Swayambhu Manu, who is the representative of the Lord. He's Lord himself, because he's the king, taking care of all the necessities. So Kardama Muni has offered his obeisances. So in this world, we are living in this world. So who do we have to pay that kind of respects? Spiritual master. Shyam Kishore Prabhu is right on point. So we are also living in this world. We have this society, we have the country, isn't it? And we also have the leaders. Because if you take this example, Swayambhu Manu is the king. And what is the duty of the king? Duty of the king is to take care of the necessities, needs of the people, so that they can lead a peaceful life, whether it is a spiritual need or a material need. Any social need, they take care of it. That used to be the custom, and they were well versed in Shastras. In that context, it's right that they deserve that kind of a respect. But can we take that example and apply for this current material world we are living in? No. See, because Shudras are ruling and they don't have any spiritual inclination or anything. We have seen the example. Like, how many of you have followed the news of Sri Lanka? I know you're all exalted devotees, you don't read the news, but Sri Lanka, just because of the leaders, it's now in such a bad situation. I think it's another country, Venezuela, I think something like that, which was oil-rich country. They had abundance of oil, so they thought like, no, they don't need anything, because oil is abundant. What do you need? So no manufacturing facilities, nothing in the country. Everything is subsidized. Enjoy. So who will work? Nobody will work, isn't it? That's not the Vedic system. So, but then what happened? The oil prices dropped to the rock bottom and the economy humbled, and then they cannot revive the country. Same thing, some bad decisions in Sri Lanka. The people are literally on the roads. So, this is the kind of leaders we have in the current world, as Shamkishore Prabhu correctly said. So, in this material world, the utmost respect or the guidance we need to take from and shelter we have to take from is the spiritual master. And listening that, like, when we practice, like, we come across different sorts of practitioners, devotional practitioners. One is bhogi, one is tyagi, and one is sevi. The bhogi means they want to do everything for their own, for the namesake. We put the tag, isn't it? The danda for name, IDS, or RNS or JPS, and then we are identified by that. I am disciple of such and such, and then we dress nicely, show up, but the thing is, what is really needed is, Jai Shri Radha Gopi Prabha ki Jai Nitai Pawan Gaur ki Shri Radha. So what is really needed is that Guru Sevi, even Guru Tyagi. Prabhupada gives this example, Guru Bhogi and Guru Tyagi, Bhogi and Tyagi basically. So he gives an example as if you go to your neighbor's place and you look at the big TV, 75 inches TV, and you say this is mine. Or you look at their refrigerator, latest refrigerator, and you say it's mine. Does it make any sense? You can claim, but it doesn't make any sense. Tyagi means same thing. You go into the neighbor's house and you say, hey, I'm just renunciating this TV. I'm just renunciating this refrigerator. I don't need this. In the first place, it doesn't belong to us. Isn't it? So what belongs to us in this material world? Nothing. Nothing belongs to us. So this bhogi and tyagi is, Srila Prabhupada's word, he says it's bogus. You have to be Guru Sevi. That means whatever you have available, you have to use it in the service of Krishna. Your knowledge, your intelligence, your opulences, whatever we have, because that doesn't belong to us, that is God-given. Krishna has given to us, bestowed the mercy upon us. And we have to use it in the service of Krishna. So that is important. So when we say that we are taking shelter of the spiritual master, we sing different prayers every day, isn't it? So I'm talking to myself, it becomes more of a mechanical, but without paying much attention to the real meaning of what we sing, isn't it? As I said, I'm a kindergarten teacher, so I just fundamentally talk about few basics, not too much Shastra or Tattva or any philosophy. So we do everyday prayers in the morning, Mangalarati prayers, isn't it? Samsarada Ranaya Karunya Gana Gana. Do we sing like that in the morning? Yes. I was remembering, I don't know whether I shared, once I was in Seattle Temple and His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj said, he never misses Bhakti, Mangalarti. And Maharaj was there, but he was feeling cold and cough, so he was not able to sing. Otherwise, Maharaj leads. So all the devotees looked at me to lead it. And I was totally shaking, I don't know how many of you had interaction with Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. So I was fortunate to have some personal association. We hosted him here in Detroit, and also had the good fortune to drive him from Seattle to Sharanagati in Vancouver and also. And so I was tensed and I started this melody. And as soon as the first thing I sang, so Maharaj looked at me and I was literally sweating. They said, this is not how we sing Mangalarti. Then I froze my mind, when somebody is strict, even in school, teacher or parent, become blank. And I couldn't sing anymore. And then somebody else led it. So that was a lesson. I never do that mistake again, because he teaches by that. And the same day, something else happened. So then again, Tulsi Arti, people said, Prabhu, please lead. So with so much fear, I was leading. And then I was leading, what is that? It talks about the eyes in Tulsi. Nayane Haribho. So I said Haribo, but it is Haribo. So and Maharaj looked at me like this. And of course, he didn't stop me, so I continued. And then Maharaj was going for his chanting, and I followed him and said, Maharaj, what mistake I did? So it's not Haribo. That means he said something like plucking the eyes or something like that. So these are like spiritual masters. They are there to correct us. So we sing this Mangalarti prayer, and what do we sing specifically? This is. What is Mangalarti prayer? What are the meanings? At least what is the outcome of that whole concept of yeah. So we have to go through the meaning. I can read it, but at least something very specific is Sakshadari Tvena Samasta Shastre Uttastata Bhavyatayeva Sadhir Sakshat Haritvena. So the spiritual master is to be honored as much as the Supreme Lord. So that is the importance. Srila Prabhupada often says when he was on this planet, and so many bogus gurus were there, they were claiming themselves of God. And so when this specific statement Srila Prabhupada made, you have to honor the spiritual master as good as the Supreme Lord. So some of the devotees were, so Prabhupada always says we shouldn't treat, because many bogus guru they claim. So the difference is they claim themselves a God, but Prabhupada says you have to treat on that platform. But Prabhupada is always on the mood of servant to the servant to the servant. I think previously also mentioned once in this Kumbh Mela, those melas happen, and they, different gurus from different, sampradayas, they all come. And so there is one sampradaya where, one Baba was kept on big elephant, they were taking procession, and so Prabhupada initial disciples, they saw this, and then they said, Prabhupada, we will have, next time when we come, we'll have an elephant, we will also take you on the procession. And Prabhupada said, no, we will also have procession, but it's going to be Krishna, Radha and Krishna who are going to be sitting on the elephant, not me. So that is the mood. You also know Prabhupada how he cried in front of the devotees, his disciples. You are all sent by my spiritual master. You boys and girls, you are helping me in vision of spreading this Krishna consciousness. So that was his mood. But from a disciple perspective, the spiritual master has to be on the platform equal to the platform of a Supreme Lord. So there are very strong prayers in Sharanagati. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, O he Vaishnava Thakura, Doyara Sagara, Eda se Karuna Kori. These Vaishnava bhajans, they set the mood for us. If you read the meanings, O Venerable Vaishnava, devotee of Krishna, O Ocean of Mercy, be merciful unto your servant. Give me the shade of your lotus feet and purify me. I hold on to your lotus feet. And very, very deep meaning of, and their humility, which they are praying and for that shelter, spiritual master, through the Sharanagati prayers. And even morning we do Guru Puja, and before that we read the meaning, isn't it? Because to set the mood, actually, generally like there's a custom, like you read the meaning, even Shashtakam or even Tulsi Arti. Very deep meaning. We just sing, but my spiritual master said, like, if you're rushing in time, even if you don't sing, just read the meaning. And then 3 times circumambulate around Tulsi Marani every day. So it's a shortcut, but like, it's not that you should avoid everything, at home, if you do like. So, oh Tulsi, Lord of Krishna, I go before you again and again. My desire is to obtain the service of Krishna. So you will be praying that you want to be the maid servant of the gopis, and so that's the mood with which you pray. So give us the opportunity to serve, basically. That's the mood. So the whole program, what Srila Prabhupada laid down for all of us, is to set the mood for us to progress and develop this quality of humility. And another one, Sharanagati, is Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Kure Dase Trinapekha Tihina. Gurudeva, give to this servant just one drop of mercy. I am lower than a blade of grass. Give me all health, give me strength. Let me be as you are, without desires or aspirations. The last stanza says, if you examine me, you will find no qualities. Your mercy is all that I am made of. If you are not merciful unto me, I can only weep, and I will not be able to maintain my life. Sri Krishna Prabhuji was telling about Indradhanush Maharaj. He says, like, whatever condition we are in, but there is a fact of mercy. So when I was reading this meaning, so I could understand, like, Maharaj's mood of, like, when he says mercy, because what qualification we have, like, you remember the Srila Prabhupada, like, one disciple was telling Prabhupada, we don't have any qualification, we don't have any qualification. He's like, absolutely. Prabhupada says, yeah, I gave you the qualification. So because that's our condition. Again, I'm talking to myself here. So that mercy comes from the spiritual master. And we have to have that in our hearts embedded. And I'm such a fallen soul. When I was asking my spiritual master, 2 times only asked, were there any service? He said, chant nicely. Because he knows my condition, because I am at that stage where, if I chant, then there is some hope for me. But we come across devotees, as Sri Prabhuji was also mentioning, like, they follow, like, to the spiritual master's guidance. You name Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj or whoever was there. And even in current day, you see, as I was telling Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, one of his disciples, I was fortunate to be his roommate, and both Mataji and Prabhuji, they were working in Microsoft in very good position in Seattle. Maharaj said, you both go back to Hyderabad and serve there. How many of us are ready to leave our jobs and go back? And they have been, and another devotee who's in a very big position in Microsoft. And Maharaj said, you have to, he's from Tamil Nadu. He said, like, go and preach. So he's preaching in Salem, around those areas, villages, established a temple. And you must have heard, his name is Yajnanarayan Prabhu. His father, Seturaman, anything clicks for you about his father? There was an article, I think, even in our Vaishnava societies, I think, newsletters somewhere. So anyway, so and I mentioned about, Rasika Shiromani Mataji and Govinda Charan Prabhu, like how for many years, more than 20 years, I know them. So they just work, but they live a very simple life. All their earnings, they give it to, for propagating the holy name of the Lord for various festivals. So I was in Seattle. I met with an accident, and I was badly injured. I was in the hospital, And then devotees were thinking where to keep, and they said like, okay, Govind Prabhu and Mataji came forward to host me, like take care of me because I had a broken knee and badly injured and I had a surgery. And so when they wanted to host, there is no bed in their home. Both of them were very high positions in Microsoft, and later Prabhuji moved to Google. And they had to borrow a bed for me to sleep because I had this, broken leg, I can't sleep. So that was the humble, nature, these devotees. So they are all around us. Some of you are in those qualities. So we have to get that mode when spiritual master, how to serve the spiritual master with our heart and soul. And another aspect on this, from this conversation between Kardama Muni and Swayambhu Manu, we see that the factor of prayers. So Kardama Muni was intensely praying for the Lord, and he did so many penances, austerities. So we just passed through those verses where he did penances for 10,000 years. And he was humbly submitting to the Lord. I did all this, but there is a purpose. Purpose means like there is some mission for me to, marry and then increase the progeny. But the thing is, he did so many penances. He did the prayers. So all through Srimad Bhagavatam, we see so many prayers, right from the first canto to 12th canto. We see prayers of Kunti Maharani, prayers of Bhishma Dev, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj, Gajendra, gopis, you name it. So many prayers, so many prayers. And prayers are essential for all of us. And we all know we have this devotee care group where we all, sincerely say like, no, oh, I'm offering prayers. But sometimes we just do it for the sake of putting it. I remember one time, Vilkishore was saying, yeah, I will definitely offer. And then immediately said, I may forget. So immediately he paid, he was praying for whatever that situation was when I was in. So when we say something, then we have to really mean it. And then we have to do that. Even when we are putting that message, but to make sure, I'll pray, definitely my prayers are there. So take a moment, few moments, and at least pray sincerely at that moment when you're putting that message, so that you don't forget, because you're caught up in so many things. It's not just expressing the words. And powers and prayers are very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. There is this example which I was hearing about one gentleman called John Clay. He is a sailor, and he set ahead for sailing in the Manhattan Ocean. And while he was a few miles away, then there was a kind of a storm, and his boat was capsized. And he was struggling, and the waters of New York, all the waters were very cold, freezing cold. He was trying to swim. He's a very good swimmer, and he was trying to swim, but struggling. And then he thought like he would not be able to make it. The coast is about 4 miles away, and he thought like he will give up because it's freezing, like the body, limbs, everything will turn blue. And then, so then he looked at the Empire State Building, and Empire State Building, some light is, something is shining from there, and then something struck him, and then he's looking at that, he got some inspiration, and then he started swimming. Sometimes, you get inspired and then you push through, isn't it? Even in our services, sometimes, we are so many services, but something will inspire us, maybe looking at the other person who is doing so many services. So then he started pushing, and then a time came, and I think about 1.5 miles or something like that, then there's no way that he can swim. He said this. And at that point, there's they put these, what do you call that, buoy or something, some balls they keep in the water for the sailors or something like that. This is a coastline or something like that. So that one of the balls, it came floating to him, and he was sharing this. This is a true story, that he didn't even have strength to put his hand on the ball. I mean, to reach out to the ball. So it's a divine arrangement. The ball came directly to his chest, and then he was holding on to it, and somehow he made it to the shore. It was all blue, but he was taken to the hospital, and he was able to live. And the next day, one of his friends, Mr. Burt, he visited him in the hospital and was telling, yesterday, we were remembering you, for somehow we have been continuously remembering you and thinking about you. And then, so John Clay asked, what is it, and what is it you are thinking about me? They said, we were passing through Empire State Building, and we thought, let's go up. And then we were looking at Manhattan and the ocean, and we were thinking, anybody who could swim across this, it's only John Clay, our friend, will be able to swim. And they have been thinking and contemplating, and multiple times they're talking about his swimming talents. He asked what time it is. It's about 8 p.m. And he said, right at the time I was swimming and struggling. And that's when I looked at the Empire State Building. And then something was shining from there. And I thought, like, gave me some inspiration, and I started moving. So do you think it's a coincidence, or do you think it's a providential? Okay, somebody is praying for him, but it's not the end of the story. A week later, he receives a letter from his friend Hitch, who is somewhere in Caribbean, 1,000 miles away somewhere. And he wrote a letter to him. Hey, John, hope you're doing well. Of late, I've been thinking, a week ago, like I was sitting on the beach and I was just thinking about you for some reason. And some numbers keep coming into my thing, 978, 978, 978. It was bothering me. Why is this numbers are coming, 978, 978, 978? I don't know, but hope you're doing well. That's the letter from his friend, Hitch. He received a week after. And then something struck him, John Clay. And then when he went inside, that ball he sailed, he kept it as a souvenir because it saved his life. And he looked on the ball, numbers are there, 978. So the reason we are here, or the reason we are practicing the spirituality, or fortunate enough to come to Krishna consciousness, is because somebody has prayed for us. Definitely. Somebody has definitely prayed for us. And sometimes we may think like, it is our merit or credit, but no, our parents would have prayed or something like that. I don't know whether I shared this, my personal story. I know like we are supposed to quote from the Shastras, but on a day-to-day basis, we also experience certain things, which for me, I look for those kind of things which gives faith, because it's happening around us. And with the Yugal Kishore Prabhuji's permission, I will share this because he's involved in that pastime. So I might have shared, but for the benefit of people who might have not heard this one. So I had to rush to India because my mother was very, very ill. I was supposed to go to Vrindavan Yatra and during Kartik and visit her, but I was going the second part of the Vrindavan Yatra. And then I suddenly got a call that I had to go. And I went, my native place is Visakhapatnam, and then I was attending to her in the hospital. We put Prabhupada's chanting, I was continuously there next to her chanting and all. So it so happened, Yugal Kishore Prabhuji was in India, and he was I think in Bombay or in Yatra. And then he happened to come to Visakhapatnam, which is, his mother and brother and family live there. And he had to come only for a day. because his passport is expiring, he has to renew it. And he came from morning till evening, he was going through all the processes, passport office and all that. Prabhuji's brother has some known people, so he's able to get that done. And he's supposed to leave, but passport officer has requested him. It's against the rule that, at least a day, give us a day so we can give you the next day, not on the same day. So then Prabhu has to stay back that evening. And then I called Prabhuji. Prabhuji's home is close to our home in Visakhapatnam. I requested Prabhuji, can you please come and visit my mother and pray for her? And Prabhuji said, Prabhu, I'm so tired since morning. Can I come tomorrow? Somehow I was insisting, Prabhu, I can bring the car. You will just swing by. And then Prabhuji accepted out of his godless mercy. And he and his brother, they both came. Prabhuji was there next to my mother and chanted, prayed. And Prabhuji was later sharing to me, like when he was praying to mother, the person who was in the opposite bed, he was looking at Prabhuji, seeking prayers for him as well. So Prabhuji prayed for other patients as well. And the next day, my mother passed away. Had I not insisted, or Prabhuji has not obliged and accepted, we would have missed that opportunity for Prabhuji to come and be with my mother and pray during those last moments. So I always consider this as the blessings of the spiritual master and all the Vaishnavas and Srila Prabhupada, because in what kind of material calculations, probabilities, that this coincidence can happen, that Prabhuji being in India and coming to Visakhapatnam, that too for a day, and then coming and visiting us and praying for my mother. Should be some causeless mercy, some blessing is there. So our prayers, the intense prayers of even our Raj Govind Prabhu was also there. And I felt like I was in Detroit when this whole thing happened. And 2 years ago, 3 years ago, my maternal uncle passed away. And they are regular devotees, they're not Krishna devotees, but somehow when I'm practicing, some of the elders, they at least pick up few things. They say even though they're not chanting all the beads, but they chant. And when he was in the hospital, when I was talking to him, he was telling, they call me by my karmi name and says no, even though I'm not chanting on beads, I'm continuously, just saying the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. He was sharing with me on the hospital bed. And on one day, it so happened, my aunt wanted to visit my uncle, and he was very ill. And then she was taken there. And at that moment, she could realize that he's losing his life. And what she did is, she chanted the Maha Mantra in his ears. And I called the next day just to console. My aunt was saying, again, she was calling me by karmi name. She says, call me Babu. Babu, I was just remembering you. I don't know. And I was chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in Mama's name, basically my maternal uncle. And they are not devotees. And she has her 2 sons next to her and her daughter, all the people. And I am somewhere in America. And I didn't even call them in the last 10 days or 1 month. He's been in hospital for quite some time. Some time ago, I called. But out of all these people around, of all that situation, what is the probability she remembers me and then remembers the Maha Mantra, and that, this is the thing you have to do towards the end of your life, and chanting the holy names in the ears. So whatever it said, the spiritual practices we do are going to help many generations of family members. I'm remembering this, Gaurang Prabhu shares this, he tells in one of the lectures that, this will benefit, 7 generations or 21 generations, this side and that side. And Gaurang Prabhu very jokingly sharing, one of his uncle came to him and said, patting, hey, continue this process, continue this chanting. They don't want to do it, but because they are going to get benefited, because you do it. So jokes apart, but this is the power of these prayers and this process, and taking shelter of the holy names. I think I'm running over time, but yeah. So there are a few more things to share, but I'll stop here. So just to recap, what we have learned from today's verse and Prabhupada's purport is on the Varnashrama Dharma, and then the spiritual and social etiquette, where spiritual etiquette takes precedence over social etiquette. And as Vaishnavas, we have to be very careful. There are many lectures and book by Bhakti Vikas Maharaj on Vaishnava etiquette. So we have to be very careful not to do in Vaishnava Pradas. And also the most worshipable person on this planet is spiritual master and all the gurus. So we have to develop that mood and do that activity. And also the power of prayers, as we see from the mundane example also, as well as some things happen in our life, and also from our prayers of different great personalities in Srimad Bhagavatam. So we have to understand the mood and develop the mood, how we can pray and benefit and progress in the spiritual path. So I'll stop here. Thank you for tolerating me, and thank you, Gulkishore Prabhu. Sorry, without your permission, I shared that past time about my mother. But and if you have any comments or corrections or anything you want to share.
Which is very inspiring, and the point that you mentioned, that someone thinks of you very powerful. I was thinking that Bhagavatam, there is a verse that spiritual master, he helps the conditioned soul cross beyond this ocean of material nations. And I was thinking at one time that if you chant Hare Krishna and I chant Hare Krishna, we're all three. So I was thinking that for a conditioned soul, like the two conditioned souls, like me and someone else, then for someone to feel something, I have to consciously think about that person, or that person has to consciously think about me. Like it's, but then with the spiritual master, it's not like that, because spiritual master is always thinking of how the disciple can make, and he may not be physically there, but he's there. Like his mercy is there, his energy is there, his kripa is there. So I was thinking that he always wants to help, he's always making arrangements. So if he just can somehow tune up, then spiritual life will actually be successful in spiritual life. So that is also a first class disciple, that how he can read the mind of the Guru, like just can understand. So just thinking like pure devotee is so powerful, just by his mere willing, things happen. Just mere like Prabhupada just will so many things. So my question is at how, because pure devotees are on absolute platform. So on absolute platform, how can some connect on that platform?
Hare Krishna. So those on the call maybe heard Shyam Kishore Prabhu is saying that somebody is remembering us. So they have to make a conscious effort to remember us or think about us. But whereas the spiritual master, it's different, because they're always basically thinking about our welfare, and this is a different platform. They're an absolute platform. So how do we connect? So he knows the answer, but he's asking me. So I'll just make a humble effort. So it's the spiritual master is like, somewhere I was listening, it's like a telescope. Krishna is there, isn't it? But we know that Krishna is there, but like the moon is there, but if you put a telescope and look at the moon, how does it look? You will see very close by, isn't it? It appears as if you can catch it next to you, isn't it? So the Guru is like a telescope who brings Krishna closer to us. So one is through the whatever we have taken, the oaths, and all these prayers are there in as I mentioned, like every day we do Guru Puja, Mangalarati, starting from Mangalarati. So you imagine how they formulated this in the morning, like, no, you are sincerely praying for your Guru first, So there is a subtle point, as I said, sometimes we do this mechanically, but if we do it with intense mood of prayer, submission, then that connection will happen. You see the difference when you want to chant, for example. So I observed it many times. If you pay obeisances in front of Srila Prabhupada and make that sankalpa, that Srila Prabhupada, please help me chant my rounds today with focus, with attention. Very intensely, very sincerely. Make an effort to pray like that and chant. And the other day you just start and chant. You can tell me what is the difference, because personally I experienced it. Because that is basically the connection. So same times, our Shastra says at least 3 times when we sing these prayers, what does it say? At least pray 3 times, pay obeisances to your spiritual master. Paying obeisances means, is this physical? Just pay obeisances and Guru Pranam Mantra and Parampara Pranam Mantra. That's it? No. There is a meaning for it. So that's why I'm bringing in, again, as I said, I'm a kindergarten teacher, so I can only talk about a few basics. But that intention, that prayerful mood should be there when we are really paying obeisances. It's not that mechanical, it's said 3 times, so morning, afternoon, evening, I'll just pay obeisances. So when you pay obeisances, you're praying to him. And also when we chant, and because I don't know whether it's a standard practice, but I do my Guru Pranam Mantra and then, Parampara Mantra and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then I also pray to Haridas Thakur and then do my round. So why we are doing this is, one is, as Prabhu is mentioning, like they are always thinking about us, no doubt about it. They're always thinking about us. Because one time my spiritual master was traveling on the flight, and the co-passenger was asking him, so where do you travel? Maharaj also asked, what do you do? He said, like, no, I go, I love fishing. I go for fishing, that person said. So he asked Maharaj, what do you do? I also go for fishing. So Maharaj's meaning is he go for fishing to liberate the conditioned souls, as Prabhu is telling. So their intention, their mood always is to help the conditioned souls. I was listening the other day, one of the lectures where it was mentioned, His Holiness Jayaprakash Maharaj, like year to year, how many numbers, like it was increasing from thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands every year. He is bringing them and helping them to grow in Krishna consciousness in spite of his condition. He has all the comforts, materially. He has all the reasons. Physically, he doesn't need to travel. We find a reason why not to go to temple. Why not to go for Mangalarati? Why not to do for this? Isn't it? A small reason. I slept an hour late. But see the condition of Maharaj. He has all the reasons why he shouldn't travel. But he travels. For what? He has all the comforts of his own. Like there'll be 10 people, 100 people ready to serve him in every aspect, every moment. But still, he's traveling. Why? Because he wants to help the conditioned souls. More and more and more people he can help so that they can get closer to Krishna. But from our side, how do we connect? Because when we look at these great personalities, when they are sacrificing so much for us, at least there are a few things which we can do, which is on a continuous basis, try to connect to them, through listening to their lectures, following their instructions. Because there is no specific instruction. When Prabhu said they're always thinking of us, many of the spiritual masters, even our spiritual master says, Like no, all my instructions, when we specifically ask, all my instructions are there in my lectures. As Prabhupada said, if you listen, then whatever you're looking for that day, whatever situation you are in, you will get the answer. You open Srimad Bhagavatam, you will get the answer. You open Srimad Bhagavad Gita, you will get the answer. So the bottom line is, Prabhu, from my perspective, with my limited understanding, connection is basically when we chant, when we offer prayers. So we have to bring that remembrance and the mood, then only we'll be able to connect. And then, see, they are an absolute platform. So there is no doubt about it. All these, there is no reason why they have to come here onto this material world. But they are coming for our benefit. So it is for us to step up and take this and make it more with feeling and commitment and surrender, basically. Sorry.
Thank you so much for this amazing class. You spoke about the spiritual etiquette, social etiquette, spiritual master, and about prayer. When you mentioned first about the spiritual etiquette and social etiquette, I was just reminded of something very similar thing in Chaitanya Charitamrita. In the Madhya Lila, I think it's like chapter 11, I think. So all the associates of the Lord, they are coming from Navadvip before the Jagannath Yatra. And then at that time, King Prataparudra was asking Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, like, why are all these devotees going straight to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first? Why are they not going to see Lord Jagannath first? And then at that time, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was replying back, saying that is because of the spontaneous love for the Lord. And then along with Lord Chaitanya, they will go see Jagannath. So I was just remembering the same thing you said about spiritual etiquette. And then there, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was saying about the spontaneous love, and they then follow the etiquette of first going to see the temple deity. So just thought of it because.
Yes, probably. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So probably is sharing about, for the benefit of people who are on the call, about the past time in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, where when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the devotees were in Puri, Radha, Jagannath. So the devotees were going to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and taking his darshan, and then going to take darshan of Jagannath. So King Prataparudra was asking why devotees are going to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rather than going to Jagannath. So then it was explained, like, they want to take, first to their master, and then take his darshan, and then along with him they go to take darshan of Jagannath. This is true, actually. So Vaishnava etiquette is very unique, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taking instructions from, not instructions basically, he's asking questions to Ramananda Roy, on the banks of Godavari, and then getting the answers, because logically you see everywhere, like, somebody asks the Lord and Lord replies. But here the Lord himself is taking the position and, asking. So these are some of the spiritual etiquettes we see, like, because sometimes we go with social etiquette, it doesn't match, like, thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you for sharing. Yes, Prabhuji.
About the power of a pure devotee's desire. So in that section where Narad Muni meets the Shavalaswa, the second group of, Laksha's Praja who went from Tapasya. Then he preached to them, and they continued their tapasya. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, just by mere experience or even by knowledge, basically Prabhupada says by one's own strength one cannot get the strength to get out. It's only possible if one is blessed by the association, the mercy of someone like Narada. So how powerful is a pure devotee? It's just mere desire. If a pure devotee just desires, his desire is so powerful, just for a flash of thought comes, and that is so powerful that I was thinking the goal of all this sadhana, everything we will be doing, to please them. You can please them even little bit, prasad, lesha, even very slight amount you can please them, that then by that pleasure, in this Prabhupada said very powerfully, he said, what is the strength of this movement? Prabhupada said the pleasure.
Pardon?
The pleasure of Bhaktivinoda Thakur is the strength, is the source, is maintaining, is sustaining, is running this movement.
Chai.
That is not different from his own mercy. But yeah, I was thinking that a pure devotee desires is extremely powerful. It's too powerful to get his pleasure, please him on that platform. Please him like please on the please. Then yeah, this is required.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's a very, very valid point for the benefit of people who are on the call. So Shamkishore Prabhu is telling, just to paraphrase, that if we can please the spiritual master, that's the ultimate. And Srila Prabhupada stating about the pleasure of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is the reason why everything is happening. So basically pleasing the spiritual master, like we see now Ambarish Prabhu. It's pleasing the spiritual master, isn't it? That one instruction which he took as just a joke, because me building a planetarium, and imagine that is his life and soul is there, more than $30 million spending and being physically present in India to bring that out, for just instruction, like Prabhupada did, just one instruction, go and preach to the Western people. So yeah, through the instructions and through the lectures, we understand the mood of the spiritual master, what they are looking for. And then, so all we have to do is try to please the spiritual master in any capacity we can, physically, financially, or whatever way. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay, I'll stop here. Thank you very much for all of you for joining. Any questions or comments? I think it's almost time, so I'll take your leave. If you have any questions, reach out to Senior Vaishnavas. And Hare Krishna. Dandat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.